Hello and welcome to Car Confections, and welcome to part 2 of our Volvo EX90 review. Of course, in this part, we are finally behind the wheel of this vehicle, and we can show you all about the driving experience with this EX90, and we can't wait to get into that, so let's go ahead and do it. Now, of course, in this test drive, we will be talking about quite a few different things, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be getting things like our signature sound level reading, so you can see how quiet this EX90 is. Volvo actually says that this is the quietest vehicle they've ever made, so we're going to be putting that to the test in this video. But first, we do want to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration, because there's a lot to talk about there. Whew! Wow.
60 miles an hour. So, obviously, this is quite fast, that's for sure. And we need to start off by, kind of reminding you guys of what type of performance that we're talking about. We kind of went through some of the specs in part 1 of this video, which, by the way, if you want the full tutorial and walk around of all the exterior, interior features, all that stuff, make sure you check out part 1. But here in part 2, we're really focused on the drive, and what we have powering this model is a 111 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery pack. You'll always have dual motors making up an all-wheel drive system. However, there's going to be 2 performance outputs. So the standard version is going to be making just a little over 400 horsepower overall, and this is called a dual motor performance model, and this one's making 510 horsepower.
Yeah, those are really, really impressive figures, but I think even more than the horsepower, you're going to feel the torque. This performance model comes in at 671 pound-feet of torque, which is able to get this big 3-row electric SUV up to speed, up to 60 to be exact, in 4.7 seconds. So that is really, really quick, guys, as you can see by that acceleration there. The standard model, like Drew said, is a little over 400 horsepower, 402, and 568 pound-feet of torque. That's good to get it to 60 in 5.7 seconds. So a 1 second 0 to 60 difference between the standard EX90 and the twin motor performance model, which is what we're in today. So very good performance out of every EX90, but if you want the most, this is definitely the way to go. Whew.
And that'll definitely throw you back in your seat, that's for sure.
I mean, it really doesn't make a lot of sense for a big, giant 3-row like this to accelerate quite that quickly. But, the entire time that we've been driving this vehicle, which we've been behind the wheel of it for about 2 to 3 hours so far, it just really shocks you how quick this vehicle is. It's certainly a lot faster than something like a gas XC90, that's for sure. So if you like that performance, you're going to like this EX90. And I'm sure you're very curious about this as well, but what is the range for this EX90? And there's a little bit of an interesting thing going on here. So typically when you choose the performance option, it's going to get a lot less range. It's actually not the case with the EX90. You still have the same range figures as the base model. You have a maximum of 308 miles on a single charge for both of those models. And of course, depending on your wheel sizes, that will affect the range ever so slightly. So 296, between 296 and 308 is what your range figures will be, depending on what wheel option you select. And it's not going to matter if you have the super fast one or just the regular fast one.
Right, Volvo said that the difference is not anything like with hardware between the two. It's all just a kind of a software and a tuning difference, you could say.
But enough about all the numbers. Let's take a second to discuss very important things with this model, such as the ride quality. Now, the ride quality for this EX90, we've been very impressed with over the, like I said, 3-ish hours that we've been behind the wheel of this model. a couple things to note. When you choose the Ultra model, that's going to unlock the full air suspension. So that definitely is going to help your overall ride quality quite a bit. Now, unfortunately, we haven't been able to drive the standard suspension setup, so we can't comment on how that's going to ride, but I have to say this one is impressive. It also allows you to customize right here in the screen the suspension feel. You can make that firm or soft. Right now we're in the soft setting, and it does a great job of just soaking up the bumps. It feels absolutely incredible just cruising down the interstate. The only thing I will say though is that if you hit a large intrusion in the road, at least with this particular tester that has the large 22-inch alloy wheels, you will feel some of the sharpness enter into the cabin. So I'd say it's not quite as smooth riding as something like a Mercedes GLS or BMW X7. If you happen to be cross-shopping between some of those models, it's not going to be quite as good, but very solid overall.
Now, also helping the overall feel of comfort are these seats. Volvo is always just so good at making great seats, and that's no different here with this EX90. Now, obviously the emphasis is comfort with this model, but we should talk about dynamics a little bit. We are on a kind of curvy road here. You do have a few different settings you can mess with. For one thing, since you have an adaptive air suspension, you can make the suspension a little bit firmer. You can also change the steering feel to the firm setting. I use air quotes on that because the standard and the firm setting neither of them have much feel at all. Overall, with the steering, that's not the strongest area of this. It doesn't give you a lot of confidence when you're on a curvy back road. The rest of the dynamics, though, are pretty solid. You have obviously all your weight really down low in the body. That makes it to where this feels pretty agile when you throw it around a corner. Body roll obviously is present, but it's not extreme like a lot of three-row SUVs could be. So all in all, it's not bad to take on a back road, just that the steering is a little bit too light and doesn't have enough feel.
Now, this is an electric SUV, so I do want to talk about charging and all the bits of information you'll need to know there. Right now, the EX90 is charging on CCS, so be aware of that. However, they do expect to move to NACS for the next model year, so keep that in mind. Additionally, as far as your charging speeds, Volvo says that you're capable of a max charging speed of 250 kilowatts, which it is operating on a 400-volt architecture. Now, as far as charge speeds, that's good to get you from 10 to 80% in about 30 minutes. Alrighty, and let's get into one of our other Car Confections signature elements, our slam dunk and airball, our favorite element and our least favorite element. Drew, why don't you kick us off with the slam dunk?
So the slam dunk is going to be, I think, the overall design of this product. I think Volvo really did just a slam dunk job of keeping those signature Volvo elements, but really modernizing them. It has just this air of sophistication and class to it, but it's not crazy in your face. It just feels so Volvo, and it just feels right.
Yeah. Now, on the airball side of things, what we're going to say is we are a little disappointed that Volvo decided to move a lot of the controls into this main display system here. So, for instance, if I want to open the glove box, I do have to do it here in this display. Like any type of drive mode is done in the display itself. So there's just
the mirrors. That's a big
steering
one.
Wheel,
power steering wheel.
Pretty much everything is almost like...
Climate takes 2 touches.
Yeah, it does. You can't adjust the temperature without pushing it and then adjusting the temperature. So all of that to be said, that some things are kind of better with a knob. It's a little safer to do so while driving. So I'm a little disappointed that Volvo went away from all those physical controls and put a lot of them in the touchscreen. So that's something. And then also the fact that we don't have a sunshade on the moonroof. I think that's a little bit of an oversight and one of those like Tesla-like things that I think is better left with Tesla. And we are speeding up to 55 miles per hour to do one of your all's favorite things, our sound level reading. So I went ahead and put it on fan speed 1, and we're going 55 miles an hour. So let's get a sound level reading. sitting at 53.8 decibels as our sound level reading here in California. Do keep in mind that we are on a media drive, so we're not in our home state of Kentucky to get that sound level reading. However, the fact that we got 53.8 decibels going 55 on a rough California road tells me kind of everything I need to know about this overall quiet experience, because that's really good.
Yeah, we've been remarking all day long just how quiet it seemed to us without officially testing it out. And yeah, indeed, it just seems tremendously quiet.
Now, Volvo was bragging about that, so we cannot wait to get it back home in Kentucky and get our official measures. But I'd say this is going to be one of the quietest vehicles that we've tested out, I feel like, when we get back home in Kentucky. As far as other electric vehicles that we've tested, the Cadillac Lyriq is the current reigning champion for luxury electric vehicles, and then the GV70 electrified, but I'm feeling that it's going to be definitely at the top end when we get it back home. As far as last things to mention, I do want to point out your warranty is going to be a 4-year 50 basic and powertrain warranty. You do also get 3 years and 36,000 miles of complimentary maintenance provided by Volvo. And of course, we really appreciate you watching this part 2 of the EX90 review, where we drive and talk about our overall experience with this product. Like Drew mentioned at the very beginning of this video, if you want to know all about the exterior, interior, third row, all of that stuff, we have covered that. We're not going to be talking about it in this video, but if you jump over to part 1, we have done an extensive review, so you'll definitely want to check that out if you're at all interested in buying an EX90 or just learning more about it in general. Now, if you're already a fan and subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. You make this all possible. We really appreciate it. If you're not already, we want to encourage you to hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to get more car content like this that I'm sure you won't want to miss out on. So do yourself a favor, subscribe. Anyway, we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.